Okay, so thanks for watching. I'm going to show you one more trick with my wood splitting that I just did. Now that I've got it, I thought of it. I want to share you. If my wife can just follow me here. If you happen to have a chainsaw and you get some really big, now this is a small log, okay, but if you get sometimes some really big logs, or you've been given some, let's say, and you want to split them and they're full of knots and you're having a hard time splitting, okay, a trick you can do, and it really isn't that difficult, but you can just take your saw and cut it. Cut about halfway down the log. It will take a little longer to cut because you're going a different cut with the grain than the chain is designed to do. I have heard they make chains for that, but I've never seen one. But anyways, for occasional use, you can cut down your middle of your log, say about halfway, and then drop your axe where you've already cut, and they usually split. I just wanted to share that other trick. So, well, lots to cover, right? I want to make sure I get the safety aspects of it too, because it's important. Because you know, in the past, a lot of people have been hurt. They are getting safer all the time. Some of them have a vibrate. You can see how my handle moves there. Okay, for somebody who's using it every day, they get what's called white knuckle. The constant vibrations can actually affect your joints, and apparently it's quite painful and can even do permanent damage. Now, for a home user like myself, that isn't an issue, so don't be afraid if you get some old saw at your garage sale. You know, it was built in the 60s. I mean, occasional use, right? If you do get an older saw that doesn't have this guard, okay, maybe you can try and fabricate one. Or the other thing, just keep in mind that an older saw, any saw can kick back, even though they're getting better with design over the years. But how they will kick back usually is, I'm just using my Wallyers example, if you go to cut the log, when the tip hits, that's when it tends to kick back on you. Because the chain is going in this direction, and as you do that, it wants to climb up, right? That's how it tends to kick back. So keep that in mind. If you're using an older saw, try to keep your tip, keep in mind where that tip is. Make sure it's not touching wood. If you get really good at it and you get a good feel for the saw, like I've done it, I also kind of know when it's going to kick back, you know, and I've kind of got control of it. That's just experience. So don't push your luck with a chainsaw that way. Okay, one more thing about safety. I was actually starting to get to it and I got off sidetrack there. What you want to wear. I'll leave this to you. Okay, like I was saying, I feel fairly confident using my saw. I don't wear anything. Sometimes I'll use earplugs because I don't like the noise. But you know, they do sell hard hats with a helmet, like a hard hat and earmuff combination with safety glasses. Go ahead. If you feel more comfortable, or if you don't feel like you're an experienced person, you don't want to take any risk, go for it. There is a cost there, but I've even seen they have vests too as well, and special pants. Hey, I do have boots that have lots of nicks on their toes, right? I've done it. Usually that happens because I'm holding the saw down and I nick my foot. I've done that occasionally. I've never cut a toe off yet. But anyways, I just don't like this myself because I just find it distracting when I'm outside. Like I wear these in the factory as it is too much. So, but I'm not saying don't use it. But anyway, you can consult with anybody on that too. If you were up in a tree, I would think the situation would be entirely different than just being on the ground and cutting some skids. With skids, the biggest thing there is that sometimes pieces of wood go flying. I've got lots of little boards and that nick me in my shins or whatever, come flying off the saw. Usually that's with the bigger one. But if you're up in a tree and you've got branches coming down or whatever, that's a little different. Yeah, I would recommend any safety involved in that.
All right.
Okay, so if you are going to start cutting and dropping your own trees after watching this, I do want to show a little bit because you know, you may not know what you're doing at all or not have an idea. Okay, for the sake of drawing here, I'm going to use a flat board, but you've got your tree, okay? We're just going to use a flat board here to draw on. What you do is you start off by making a wedge. Okay, the purpose of this wedge is so that ideally wherever on the circle you make that wedge is where the tree's going to drop. And then you start cutting on this side, parallel to your top line here. And as you start cutting, the idea is that the tree will go where that wedge is. But it doesn't always. A tree can twist because, you know, branches and whatever can hold on, showing the bush here, but I mean, you can see like how a tree can be, like branches can hold on to other parts of the tree, and as they come down they can twist, and with that twisting you don't know where the tree's going to go. So never just think, I put my wedge, that's where it's going to go. I've actually trees had come backwards. That's great, by the way, when you get your saw pinched in there. It helps if you can have a tow line depending where you are. Like if you're cutting a tree down near your house for the first time, you know, be careful. Look for hydro lines. That's the most important, hydro lines. Yeah, and you know, make sure there's nobody around. That's the other thing, because you don't always hear a tree falling. Sometimes with wind and branches, you know, and dropping trees is a kind of an art in itself. That's a whole other area of cutting wood. 90% of all my experience is usually just getting skids, or people have given me logs, or I've cut down a few. Some of them are already down that I've cut up. It's a little different, okay? But hey, watch some more videos on it. Consult around. You never know. Like, I'm not trying to scare anybody into it. I mean, I even cut a tree one time. It's a true story. I cut a tree, did my wedge. I cut all the way through. My saw came out the wedge, and the tree just stood there. It wouldn't fall. I never seen that one before, and there was no other trees around it, so it wasn't caught on anything. It just stood there. I had to actually push it, and eventually it fell. But anyways, those were the days when I was didn't have kids and had less to lose. But okay, thanks for watching. Have yourself a good day.